130 real workers who protested. Colleagues joined them on the
Suspended NIB Director Algernon Cargill talks with the board tonight. Find out why his suspension may soon come to an end.
And another police officer facing criminal charges. We'll tell you about the crime he's accused of straight ahead. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kishla Adderley.
And I'm Kendino Knowles. As always, it's good to have you with us.
Topping the news tonight, suspended NIB Director Algernon Cargill and his lawyer are meeting with members of the National Insurance Board right now to discuss the findings of an audit report.
It's been months since officials began weeding through mounds of documents as they investigated corruption claims. Until now, answers from Cargill had been missing from the report. Now, Cargill was given until the 21st of this month to convene a meeting with the board, or told a decision would be made in his absence. Minister with responsibility for the National Insurance Board, Shane Gibson, spoke with reporters outside of Cabinet today and said he awaits the recommendations of the board. Our Jimenita Ferguson reports.
National Insurance Minister Shane Gibson says suspended Director Algernon Cargill has not been fired. However, natural justice will run its course. This comes after Cargill reportedly called for a judicial review of the controversial forensic audit, asking for it to be dismissed. Now, Cargill claims that he was not interviewed or given a chance to respond to the allegations. Gibson, however, laments that Cargill was given more than enough chances.
Auditors invited Mr. Cargill to come and meet with them. Mr. Cargill set some unreasonable conditions that he wanted them to agree to before he would agree to meet. So it wasn't that they didn't want him to meet or they didn't give him an opportunity. He decided, as he is doing now, that before he meet with them, they have to send him all the questions in writing, right? And so, for him to tell the courts, I don't believe he'll be that bold to lie to the court like that. He wouldn't do that.
A meeting was scheduled between Cargill and the National Insurance Board Tuesday. Gibson said following that meeting, he will be provided with recommendations on Cargill's future with the organization.
I will take their recommendation into consideration when making a decision because at certain levels in national insurance, I think above from executive management level, they can't terminate anybody or hire anybody unless they receive ministerial approval.
Now, depending on what the board says, Cargill may be off suspension sooner rather than later.
It appeared to me as though he wants to receive his salary as long as possible if he thinks that it's in jeopardy. And it may not be in jeopardy. Once he is completed with his explanation, he may be back on the job tomorrow.
Jimenita Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Tragedy unfolded today at the airport gateway project after an employee working on the project was killed during a freak accident. Jimenita Swain tells us how a simple offloading turned deadly.
Work remains at a standstill after an employee was electrocuted in this area early Tuesday morning.
Police say it was around 9:45 when a Mack truck driver was unloading a load of fill. In the process of emptying its load, the bed of the truck reportedly made contact with one of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation's 11,000-volt wires. The result, a male employee who was directing the Mack truck driver and holding onto his door was electrocuted in the process when contact was made with the power lines. The male employee landed on his side. All activity on the site was stopped a short time later for Knowles construction employees. Our news team headed to the construction company office off Gladstone Road, where employee Moreland Anthony Gray spoke about knowing the victim. He said his colleague hails from Kingston and no one expected the events would turn out the way they did. Gray described the tragedy as painful.
But inside of me, like everything dead. If you remember, you have your youth and you leave your family and your family looking forward to see you coming back and then get a news like that, say that you pass, or so you're dead. Oh God, man, it hurt. You know, you have a little 8-year-old youth looking forward to see daddy come home. When you hear that, now I'm gonna see daddy again. Yeah, when daddy call daddy on the phone and daddy talk, make these plans about what daddy I bring for him and them thing there. You know, say no more daddy, no more plans. Whatever them plans, that ain't coming again.
Police have not officially identified the victim, but they say he is a 48-year-old Jamaican national employed with Knowles Construction. This matter now remains under active police investigation. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
Well, several businesses and web shops were searched for a number of infractions during a police raid in the East Bay and Shirley Street areas on Monday afternoon.
A few employees of those establishments were not only forced to close up shop, but were also arrested. Now, LaDawn Davis tagged along with police for that operation, and she tells us that the persons were taken into custody for failure to produce business licenses and for selling alcohol without a license.
Dozens of police officers canvassed the eastern downtown area Monday afternoon, responding to the concerns of criminal activity brewing in that popular hangout for Bahamians and visitors alike. While on patrol, the officers searched the Island Lock web shop, but according to Assistant Commissioner of Police Leon Bethel, there was no sign of gaming activity.
They're up to date. When we went in there, we did not find anyone engaged in the sale of numbers, but the operations is there with the computers. As you are aware, web shops are legal. All web shops are legal. It is what you do with the web shops.
A few minutes later, the officers entered the Double D's restaurant where they questioned the business owner, asking him to show proof of a valid business license, but he was not reportedly able to submit one. This resulted in 5 persons being arrested.
We have examined a number of the business places to ensure that they are in compliance. Where we are standing now, we found no license to operate. If they have one, we did not find any. Any licensed business should have their license in a conspicuous place so that if a police officer enters to inspect, he can see that and check the license to see if it's up to date. We did not find any licenses, hence we closed this business.
But the massive police raid didn't end there, though. Just across the street stood the Bahama Dreams web shop, which appeared to have been closing down shop for the day. Literally, 5 persons were taken into custody, resulting in the business establishment temporarily being shut down.
These persons are operating a business without any form of license, and we are not going to allow that to happen. All of the business places who operate illegally need to know that we are going from day to day checking every business place. Don't care what type of business it is, we're going after it.
Then it was off to Paradise Games web shop operation in the Balls Alley area, and while there, police met a number of residents standing around in awe, wondering if this would be the second numbers housed in the space of 2 hours to be shut down, but it wasn't. Patrons who police caught inside the business establishment were also given physical body checks and escaped the wrath of going to prison for the night. Meantime, a few cars in the area were also checked for contraband and ammunition. Now police say they will continue to beef up their presence in the area every day to ensure that business owners and civilians abide by the rules of the licensing authority. LaDawn Davis, ZNS Network News.
A police officer finding himself on the wrong side of the law, and he's facing an indecent assault charge.
As Fern Carey tells us, the officer made his first appearance in a Nassau Street court today to face a magistrate.
Chained at the ankles and wrists, 29-year-old police constable 3082 Lawrence Bastian appeared in the Nassau Street Magistrate Court to answer to a charge of indecent assault. In court, the magistrate charged the Mobile Patrol Division officer with indecently assaulting an 11-year-old girl back on February 22nd. It is alleged that Bastian had oral sex with the child. Bastian pleaded not guilty to the charge, and the matter was adjourned to July 16th. The prosecutor objected to bail, noting that Bastian tried to escape through a bathroom window at Mobile Patrol when told he was being investigated in connection with the matter. The prosecutor also suggested that if Bastian was released on bail, he be fitted with a monitoring device. And the court agreed, granting Bastian $6,000 bail with one surety. However, the magistrate warned Bastien to stay away from the alleged victim and not to interfere with witnesses in the case. He will also be fitted with a monitoring device. Now, if Bastien breaches any of these conditions, there is a strong possibility that his bail will be revoked and he will be taken into custody and remanded to Fox Hill Prison until the trial. Fern Carey, ZNS Network News.
Well, testimony continued today in the Kofi Goodman murder trial. Goodman is on trial for allegedly killing 11-year-old Columbus Primary School student Marco Archer back in September 2011. During the proceedings, the court heard from police detective Darren Pierre. The officer was on the stand briefly during the morning session. However, Goodman's attorney, Jeffrey Farquharson, objected to the officer referring to the accused as Kofi Goodman, also known as Elvado Ferguson. Farquharson argued that it suggests that Goodman has an alias, and he asked the court to excuse the witness and strike his testimony from the record. He also suggested that Goodman was not receiving justice in the court, prompting Justice Bernard Turner to excuse the jury to allow discussions to take place. The trial continues. Well, the country's tourism chief revealing today some disturbing criminal activities taking place at Festival Place, a major tourist hub in downtown Nassau.
It only further adds to a mushrooming criminal factor that is now reaching every facet of society in light of a recent tourist killing. And as Andrew Knowles tells us, he's extremely concerned over the future of the country's reputation if the problems aren't quickly arrested.
It's alarming news, but a reality of the times we live in.
We're hearing about a lot of solicitation taking place. We're hearing about a lot of drugs being sold. We're hearing also a very troubling situation about prostitution involving boys. And it's something that has me troubled because that's not what we're supposed to be all about.
Tourism Minister Obi Wolshcombe says his office is moving quickly to address these issues, as failure to do so will only jeopardize the country's reputation. But he says young boys reportedly soliciting and engaging in other criminal activities speaks to more deeper issues, like the deterioration of morals.
Desperation sometimes necessitates, or as they might think it does, what people do. But that doesn't make sense. I think it's a lack of guidance here when you're talking about boys or you're talking about young people. Of course, the drug situation is always something troubling that we have to deal with, and so we're addressing that right now. And the police is doing the best that they can.
This latest news comes as tourism officials continue to do damage control in light of the shooting death of American tourist Kyle Bruner on Sunday. And as a result of the tragic shooting and other criminal activity, the tourism minister says police and security presence will be intensified, particularly in tourist hotspots.
Trying to get the numbers here. We're trying to get more cruise ships here. We're trying to get more overnight visitors here. Well, we're saying that we want them to be a part of our economy. Well, if we don't do it, then they're going to stay over at Paradise Island, not come across. They're going to stay at Cable Beach and not come on the strip of Bay Street. They'll stay on the cruise ships and not come off. That's not what we want. That's not tourism. Tourism is interfacing. Tourism is exchanging culture. And people have to have a sense that I'm in the Bahamas. I love this country. It's nice. The atmosphere is fine and it's peaceful.
Now, Minister Wolshcombe also lashed out at opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, who criticized the government over its handling of crime. But instead of the criticisms, Minister Wolshcombe is calling for a bipartisan approach to effectively tackle this menace. Andrew Knowles, ZNS Network News.